and welcome to a brand new Nerds United on YouTube. My name is Greg Mahachko, joined as always by my co-host of the year, Mr. Mike Luther. Hello, Mike.
Hello, sir.
Are you stealing my thumb gimmick?
I'm pretty sure that's RVD's thumb gimmick.
I was going to say, which I borrowed.
Yeah.
Rob Van Dam.
Yeah.
From Battle Creek, Michigan. Mr. Monday Night.
Now that we know, by the way, I just skipped what you said. Now that we know where each other are on the, should we just do like this?
How are you? It's so good to see you.
Doing good. Doing good. I can't tell how this looks. Wait, no, never mind. I just remembered. I have a bad nose profile. Never mind. Sorry, people. You saw the schnoz.
No,
don't need to see that.
It's barely there.
It's definitely there.
Yeah. You can't hardly see it.
I'll be honest with you. I was very didn't like it growing up because I've said self-conscious. Thank you. But not to brag, I have had quite a few ladies say they liked my nose. Those ladies might have been crazy, but still, I got complimented on.
So we are starting much later than usual.
Yeah.
I'm a couple of beers in.
Oh God.
So this is gonna be fun. Mike, I think in this video, in fact, right now I have the marker in front of me, but right about now I'm going to share the before picture of the comic book room.
Okay.
And I've been working hard on it. As I think I've mentioned before, all my individual issues that I have under my current ownership, not that are lent out or something like that, they're all bagged, boarded, and boxed. And I just have to get my graphic novels and trade paperbacks put away in boxes. But here's the after, or maybe not the after, the in progress picture. So my wife is saying she's not pressuring me. She wants to have the baby room all ready to go by the first of the year. So I think we'll be able to get it done.
She's like, I'm not pressuring you, but get your shit out of that room. No pressure, though.
No pressure, but if it's still there on January 1st, it's going to go in the trash can.
Right.
So I said, I don't know what I'm going to do with all these. Like, I have a variety of long boxes and short boxes for all my comics. I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. She said, oh, those are okay in the baby's closet, just not strewn out all over the room.
No, and that's actually a good thing because you can use those as bedtime stories.
Yes.
You know?
I popped into Twilight Comics, Swansea, Illinois today to get a few more boxes to put my trade, paperbacks and such in, and they are out. And I don't need ones that have, like the comic book characters on the side, which I imagine are probably more expensive. But they're just out of the regular white, boxes without the graphics and such. I've been told sometime in December, I think. So I was like, okay, I can stack them up somewhere. They'll be safe. And then I know you have a small number of my comics. I know a best friend of the show, Josh, has a number of my comics as well. Josh, if you're watching this, I'm pretty sure that's my Joker book written by Brian Azzarello. And even if it's not, I'm willing to pay you to get it back. So, so I'll pay for it twice. I'm on the record now. So, trying to, as time goes on, I know you've got some of my stuff you have read, which we're going to talk about here. So you'll return the by the way, I just got I feel like he's watching this live. I just got a message from Josh saying,
How are you doing that? Best friend of the show.
I don't have the heart to tell him we were just talking about him, or I have the heart to tell him. I don't want to interrupt the rest of the show for it. So But I know there are some books of mine that you have read. So when we meet up again, we'll do a little exchange, and I'll give you some stuff that you need to read, and I'll take back some of the stuff that you have read. So
yeah, I've slowly been reading comic books. Really, it started off for content for the YouTube page because there was. I mean, we'll talk about it more, but there were times where we would start the YouTube before we started recording. Be like, what are we going to talk about? I don't know. I'm like, I got these books here, and I should read them because I need to get more nerd knowledge in here. If I'm a co-host of the year on Nerds United.
Just think about this though, and this is dangerous. You were the co-host of the year without all of this added knowledge. You're going to be pretty soon. You're just going to be the host.
You call him like emperor or something like that.
Well,
ruler of the galaxy of nerds. Your choice.
Here's the thing. Look, our one son is, I'm gonna put it nicely, we love him. He's at that age where he's a handful, and you'll see him sometimes. He'll run down these stairs right here in the middle of a recording, and with two more, and I this is not a complaint. We're beyond blessed. I have a feeling that in the not too distant future, it might be Mike and Chad's power half hour.
And by the way, I do want to point out, when you say our son, you mean you and your wives. We don't have a kid together. Not that I know of.
I thought that went without saying, but I'm glad we cleared the air on that.
I just want to clear it up. If there's a new viewer on here and he's like, oh, they have a kid together. How sweet. Don't seem to be living together, but okay.
We are actually. Mike's just recording upstairs.
Right.
I don't want there to be any feedback of him setting up his laptop right over here. So.
Oh, how awesome would it be if I did come over one time and I just recorded right behind you, like facing the opposite way?
You would have to have we probably both need to have earbuds in or headphones or something.
Yeah.
I have been in, and I'm sure you have too, been in conference meetings. Josh just told me, and he says, quote, "Wake up, bitch."
Oh.
So, I'm going to say, I will respond. I will respond, talk to text.
Okay.
Oh, that's not it. Here we go. Talk to text. Currently recording the Nerds United on YouTube, period. Thanks for interrupting the show, period. Make sure you watch the show and share with all of your friends for your special little best friend of the show shout out, you asshole, period. It kind of auto corrected to best friend of the show shout out your asshole. Like your position, like it's the shout out right out your asshole. So
what's odd is now that we're kind of figuring out the YouTube thing, not that we're getting many more subscribers. We have 30 though, but still that's 30 people that watch this for whatever reason. And we're
thank you.
Thank you, yes. Now whenever I'm doing this, in my head I think about what are these time codes going to be. It's going to be like one. It's going to have to be like Josh calls the show. 20 seconds later, we talk about this. This first part might just be however long this is banter, intro banter.
He's yelling at me because I didn't talk to him about a particular character / actress in this week's episode of The Mandalorian. So
don't spoil it because I haven't seen it yet.
I won't. But should we send Josh the link? Do you think he would Zoom on with us?
You try. I don't know if it works.
Do you want to join the YouTube show via Zoom? ? That's right. I use grammar in my talk to text, and I forgot to hit end. So.
Grammar's a good thing.
I have to delete all the stuff that I said. Expository. I mean, he's not doing anything. It might put a damper on Mike's book club. If
Josh can always do that next week. It don't matter. Or we can do it on the podcast because I'm starting more books. Yeah,
if Josh joins us, we'll do it on the podcast. If not, we'll probably have to do it quickly. But He's typing, so I'm looking down all the time. No, yeah, you're right. I forgot what we were talking about. Not today, feeling like poop. He didn't say poop. And I'm not gonna say the last part he says, but it sounds like fun.
Okay.
So
Next time.
good night, Josh.
Kisses.
I'm putting my phone on Do Not Disturb. Let's continue on with the show. Reading books, right. Mike read some books, or Mike read some books, and now he's going to tell us about them.
Yeah, well, don't have that long for me to read comic books to you. Plus, reading comic books would be awkward.
You know what? I think this year, Christmas Eve, I'm going to share a couple of books that I like to read to my son, and those would be "'Twas the Night Before Christmas," which is a classic, and I also like to read to him the Grinch book. So
okay.
So I might prep those for a Christmas Eve drop.
That is an excellent idea. Great great books, not comic books, but great books. One you should not read to your son is one called Wytches. Or maybe it's pronounced Witches, not really sure. This one, Volume 1, which I don't know if there's a Volume 2, it seemed to end okay. Story by Scott Snyder, art by Jock, it just says Jock. Colors by Matt Hollingsworth, letters by Clem Robbins, and the editor is David Brothers. I can't say too much about this except for it's about witches. It's about a young lady who gets cursed. And the reason I say I can't say too much about it, I recommend it, obviously if you're older, not for a kid. There's a lot of, I don't want to spoil anything. The artwork on it is excellent. Hopefully I'm showing a random page and hopefully it doesn't spoil anything. If it does, I don't know, look away.
I remember that book.
Yes, hopefully you do. Hopefully you remember all the books I talked about.
That's one of the books that I have a couple of books. That's one, and I believe Paper Girls Volume 1 is another that I bought, Twilight Comics, Swansea, Illinois, and set aside with the best intentions to read. And, a few months later, I'm back in Twilight Comics, Swansea, Illinois. I'm looking like, that one looks pretty good. I think I'm going to grab it. So I've got a couple of duplicates. By the way, I'm not disclosing names, but I know I mentioned last week that we're sending the first Nerds United care package up to Minnesota, and they're getting some good comic books, but I believe they're getting Volume 1 of Paper Girls. So
perfect,
and like a stack of comics about that thick.
Yeah. Paper Girls is very good. I read it. I got Volume 2 here. I'll read eventually. But going back to this one here.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. I don't have too much to say about it. It is kind of a horror based. Oh, and actually, I just now noticed this on the very top here. It says, "It's Fabulous, a Triumph" by one Stephen King. I'm not, and I know you're the same way. I'm not a big horror movie fan. But I realized the good thing about reading horror as opposed to watching it is you don't have any of the stupid jump scares or those scary sound stings, the music stings, the meow, and something pops out. The only way you could have like a jump scare in a comic book is if it was like a pop-up. I don't know if they have any of those. I think that might be cool. But Witches, even if you don't like horror, I'd recommend it. Go to Twilight Comics, Swansea, Illinois, read it. All right, last book I read. Show everybody. War of the Realms. Okay. Let me tell you about this book. All right. So this is the first Marvel book I've read in a while because Greg's DC stack is about here, and then Marvel is here. Right?
We talked about that in the past.
Now, with the DC, I've talked about it before. I like DC, but there's a lot of characters I don't know yet. I'm learning them, as I read more comic books. But with Lightning Saga, I felt like I jumped in the middle of something, and I didn't understand it for a while. War of the Realms, you're also jumping in on something. Let me tell you, okay? You're jumping in the middle of it. But if you were like me and you enjoyed Marvel movies, the MCU, Netflix, used to be on Netflix TV shows, even the Fox properties with Deadpool and X-Men, and Spider-Man, of course, but he's kind of back in Marvel now, or Sony, however it is. You're really going to enjoy this. Before I talk about what it is, I'm just going to say, call up Twilight Comics, Swansea, Illinois, see if they have it, or wherever you're from. Maybe you don't have a Twilight Comics by you, and you don't want to travel too far. Go and get it, seriously, because the story is that Malekith, the Cursed, I believe it what it is, and the Dark Elves have already taken over 9 of the 10 realms. They've destroyed it. Thor is missing somewhere. Odin, he's still alive, but he's sitting by himself in Asgard. A lot of the Asgardians have went to Midgard, aka that's Earth. You should know that if you watch Thor. And Malekith and his minions, his dark elves, are coming to take over Midgard. And when I say take over Midgard, Earth, I'm not saying they just go to New York. They fight battle there. No, they go all around the world. It's kind of it makes me feel sad for how they did Malekith on Thor: The Dark World, because he's a badass in this one. Another good thing about it is, first of all, we don't have any Marvel movies coming up. We got WandaVision, which we'll talk about in the podcast. I'm sure that's coming in January. But there's nothing. So if you want to experience a Marvel movie where you get, name the characters that are probably in it. Obviously, Thor, Spider-Man, Valkyrie's in it. The Valkyrie, all of them are in it. Odin's in it. Daredevil's in it. I'm going to give a slight spoiler that actually made me go like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. Daredevil takes over Heimdall's position because Heimdall is blind, or something happened to him. He's blind, so he can't be all-seeing, and Daredevil is basically like, if you need somebody who's blind, can still see, take over that, let me do it. And they give him Heimdall's sword, and he takes over his spot. And there's one scene where he's talking about he normally hears, a city full of screams, and now he hears like universes full of screams. There's just Deadpool's in it, Punisher's in it, Blade's in it. Like, this was where I'm turning the page going, oh my gosh, this person. Okay, first of all, if you make this into a movie, it would have to be like Thor 4 and 5. There's no way you can fit it all into one movie unless you do like a 4-hour movie, which you might do eventually. I'm not going to say too much more about it, but like I said, if you are a fan of Marvel, you will love this. Nothing bad about DC. And I'm, like I said, I'm starting to understand more of DC's characters now. Red Tornado, other people, but I know these characters already. So it makes me want to, like, once I finish reading this, I went, I want to know what happens before this. I want to know what happens after this. And if this is a spoiler, I'm sorry. In the beginning of it, Thor doesn't have Mjolnir. Mjolnir's broken. So
I didn't catch any of it.
Let's talk about how great Green Lantern was.
Believe it.
Just kidding. So yeah, War of the Realms. Just look at this cover here. Who's all on this? Look at that. Thor, of course. Wolverine. I forgot about him. Captain Marvel. Is that Captain America? It's hard for me to tell. She-Hulk's in it. Daredevil. There's a lady, Black Panther.
So it sounds like you and I are, when it comes to like the big two, the Marvel, DC, publishing companies, that I think we're both kind of alike in that as far as superheroes go, we want the most bang for our buck. So we like the event type stories that, cram them all.
Yeah. And every once in a while, like Batman White Knight. That's just a him story, basically. For the most part, But those are good too. But yeah, this is. Oof.
I I was messaging you last weekend as I was continuing to get some of my comics found and corralled, and I found more books out in the garage that I'm really excited to lend you. First of all, that's also where I was stashing apparently most of my Green Lantern trade paperbacks, but there's some really unique Batman stories in there that I'm excited to share with you, and we talk about those on a future episode of Nerds United on YouTube, right here on YouTube. Cheap pop. So make sure that you hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit all the buttons you're supposed to like, and hit or whatever.
You can like them too.
Sure, like the buttons, and then like them enough to click them, and leave a comment. Let us know if there's a book that we should be reading and talking about on a future episode. So we're gonna wrap up Nerds United on YouTube for this week. He is the co-host of the year, Mike Luther. I am Greg Mahochko, and we're beyond out of time, but we thank you for joining us here. So be kind.
Rewind.